9 months has passed since you and I spoke. Is the Ukraine war getting better or worse?
We're losing slowly but surely, every day. We get little victories here and there, but we don't have the weapons. People are tired. The body wears down, the mind wears down. The best people went to war. There's less and less of them every day. The war vloggers, the mainstream media, yeah, Russia is weak, Russia's losing this, they're alcoholics, they're incompetent, corrupt. They're not when they're shooting at you and your friends are dying. Me, Sasha, and Sergei Biden in the Humvee, it's mayhem. They shot at us. We got 5 guys in the back of the ambulance and I'm falling on one with a hole in his leg and it's absolute chaos. And telling this one, you shut up, don't you move your arm, because I'm trying to run a line into him. And we had one guy with a concussion and we got 2 dead guys. One was dead 2 days, the other guy was dead over a month. But how many bodies do we have the other side of the river that we can't get? Yeah, I'll go back and I'll do everything I can. And I'll see the war through till the end. Somehow.
Till the end. Whether that's the end of the war or end of you. Brandon, welcome back, brother.
Thanks for having me.
So good to see you, mate. And in one piece.
One piece, yeah.
All okay?
Everything's good. I want to thank you for having me again.
Absolutely, mate.
I've been on the circuit before going back to Ukraine. Over 50 interviews from even Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, and you and a man by the name of Peter Mansbridge, it was my favorite.
Amazing, mate. Appreciate that.
I mean that. That's why I asked to be here, just to hang out with you again.
Yeah. Well, it's always a pleasure, mate. You're a lovely guy and you're doing some amazing work. For anyone that didn't listen to the first episode, and anyone who's listening now, go and watch the first episode. It's amazing and you'll get a full background on Brandon and what he's been up to. Let's have a little quick recap. So what are you doing in Ukraine?
Yeah, so fast forward, I went to Ukraine 3rd week of the war, ended up in an army medical battalion with no medical background, put me through training, started documenting it because we needed funding just to buy helmets. And a few YouTubers backed me from the beginning, and it turned into about £1.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah, and I bought a lot of things, always documented what I was buying for the army, keep my camera running, because some people liked explosions. A very small portion of those people actually liked me. And I've used that platform with my service to buy whatever we need. From generators to night vision to...
So you've been out there 3 weeks into the war.
Yeah.
And you're back now, am I right? Because it's the 2-year anniversary. Is that why you're back?
Well, personally, I lived here for many years. I lived in Sweden since Corona. The immigration service is going to kick me out if I didn't come back. I've been home since Christmas Day in Sweden. And as long as I have to, I'm working with the Swedish aid organization that helps the Ukrainian army. They're very supportive of me, And I got offered by the Foreign Office and the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry to come with Ukrainian army medics that could speak English.
Okay.
And I'm the one, I speak English.
Just about.
Yeah. So I'm here in the UK. I did a course with the ambulance service last week in Southampton. I'm always studying.
Wait, you now actually have some paramedic training. Is that what you're saying?
No, I got FREC 3. Basically, I'm legally allowed to work in an ambulance in the NHS now.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm going to carry on with that as long as it takes till I go back to Ukraine. But I'm here in Bournemouth to see family and friends, and then I'm off to London today to go meet the higher echelons. Yeah.
What, some interviews and press and stuff about what's going on?
It's been arranged by the Foreign Office and the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry. I'm going to go meet Sadiq Khan tomorrow.
Amazing.
Yeah, David Cameron, I think the next day. Talk to politicians and engage with the public and hopefully bag as much money and guns as we can for Ukraine. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's the dog and pony show.
I remember we talking about it last
I'm on
time.
it.
Yeah.
I'm on the Dog and Pony show, mate.
I mean, we had you here in May. We just worked out, so that's 9 months ago. So, I mean, let's get into it. So, 9 months has passed since you and I spoke.
Yep.
Is the Ukraine war getting better or worse? Or is it perhaps stagnant? And the other thing is, like, people often think of wars, I said to you before the show, with one side winning or one side losing. Is it as simple as that from where you are?
My life is real simple, mate. That's how I keep my sanity. We're losing.
Losing?
We're losing slowly but surely, every day. We get little victories here and there, but we don't have the weapons. We have all the intelligence. I could get into that if you want, but little by little, every day, it's not getting better.
And what are you basing that on? When you say it's not getting better, is it that you're retreating from a certain spot of land? Is it that the casualties are getting higher? Is it that people are being driven out of their homes? Do you see what I mean? Like, what's the metric of that kind of in your eyes that you think it's getting worse?
Well, on a personal level, I'll require 2 surgeries within the next couple months. The body wears down, the mind wears down. I've gastrointestinal disease from bad food, bad water, stress-related. Do you know how many people I know that have stomach issues and that have ulcers, bleed? Like I know a much younger than me, a young girl I work with. She bleeds out of her asshole. These are stress-related illnesses. People are tired, and on an individual level, but you get hundreds of thousands of people trying to carry that weight every day. And then friends who aren't with us anymore. Best people. All the best people. The best people went to war. The best people went to war. And more of them that there's less and less of them every day. And when I say we lose, I know from places I've been, roads we can't use anymore because they're shooting on it, but they're going west. We're not going east, and that can happen over months. This town's gone, that village is gone. We're no pushover. But we just don't have the resources.
Is that what you reckon probably is the bottom line? Just resources. So if you had more money, more artillery, more, I guess, feet on the ground.
Well,
it's a big power, right? That you're against.
I'm a medic, and we don't know a lot. See, it's like everyone talks about the front line, and I say I don't work on the front line because my work is like 2 kilometers from the Russians. Mm-hmm. In my mind, the front line is they're right there, shoot the guns. Mm-hmm. But that's my thing, Doesn't really do the buzzwords, but I see things. I see things that happen. I see on my free time. I never really talk about this. I volunteer with the drone teams, and I see a lot of things, and I see complacent Russians on the other side. And sometimes we hit them, and I watch them die. And I'm quite okay with that. I really am. But then we don't hit them because we don't have enough ammunition, and it's not worth it. If magically tomorrow 100,000 artillery shells and mortar shells just appeared in Ukraine in all the right places, I think we could kill 30,000 of them in a week. I see them the other side of the river where I work in Kherson. They're crawling. They're complacent. We don't have the ammunition.
You said a minute ago that
maybe that sounds sick to you, but
no, not at all. Listen, for me, sat on the comfort of my couch, for anyone else sat at home in the comforts of their home, it's very easy for us to judge what happens at war, but it's war. Mm-hmm. So who am I to judge what's sick and what's not sick? I haven't been through what you've been through. I'm not seeing what you're seeing. I don't necessarily understand exactly what's going on out there. To the average Joe, it might sound a bit like, he just said he's okay with watching someone die, And I was going to ask you about that. Are you okay?
I think I am. There's this leveling up process. We talked about it before. I've spent years in 12-step program with sobriety, and I've done therapy. And just like a football tournament, how you have to knock them out, I'd have to pick the important people in my life. My father, my auntie, my girlfriend, and you got to let one go, drop them off the cliff, and just follow your instinct. So I got a Russian and I got a Ukrainian.
Yeah.
It's so simple. One has to die.
The sobriety thing, right? You're under a lot of pressure. You're under a lot of stress. Is there times where you've nearly relapsed?
I was 10 years plus when I went to Ukraine. And beyond the spiritual development, habitually, I don't think to drink, I don't think to smoke a spliff or do a line for so long. Especially here in Bournemouth, in the boxing community, where I had small achievements, my body would not the sport would not tolerate those lies.
Mm-hmm.
Some people get away with it when they're young. They get found out pretty quick.
Yeah, I read something last night. What was it? It said something like, a calm mind, a fit body, and a loving house are things that cannot be bought. They have to be earned. And it really resonated, because you're right what you're saying there. You can't really, have a fit body or a calm mind by continually lying to yourself or being in positions that are not right or not good or not morally correct.
Yeah. It wouldn't tolerate it. But I get my fill in other ways, by accomplishments, by helping my friends. I still need that boyhood gratification of like that I can be useful to them. I don't lie. That's the truth. I get something out of it too. I roll over, I get the biscuit. I'm a loyal dog.
Yeah. That helping others. You enjoy that, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
I think deep down, a lot of us do. Ones that have done it and have got that feeling that you get of that fulfillment are doing it more and more. Ones that haven't tried it yet just don't know that they like it, is my opinion on it.
Helping others, being part of society.
Well, you know what I mean, yeah.
It would have made me cringe as a young lad,
And me.
Cringe.
Yeah.
But it's a good way. It's just the same as here. One of my biggest role models, a few of them in this town, were the amateur boxing coaches.
I remember you saying.
We went to a show in Weymouth the other week, and just Martin, the coach who put that on, all those kids that come from all over the place, from Bristol, from Yeovil, it was all about them.
Yeah.
And of course, it's the venue. There's a lot of people there just drinking their face off, but the people who are really there for it,
Are you doing any boxing training out there?
No, don't. I wake up in the morning with 5 fags and 2 coffees, and that's me.
Really?
I was running for a while.
I remember seeing your videos on it. When you said earlier about kind of bad food, bad water. Yeah. What are you guys kind of eating and drinking out there, and how are you getting it? Because you're not obviously going into a house and just opening a tap, or are you?
Oh, there's so many people that write me because I have a public platform and they want to send chocolate. They want to send this and that. There's a town called Konstantinivka, city really. And anybody who even mildly followed the war heard of Bakhmut. And if you drive down the road really fast, straight, you'll hit Bakhmut and you'll hit Russians in about 30 minutes. And in Konstantinivka, we can stop at the petrol station, get a pizza, a hot dog. You can get sushi there too.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you can get somebody to do a runner, the supermarkets, you can have it all. You can literally have it all. A lot of times we eat the stereotypes, borscht. You ever hear of borscht? It's a beetroot soup.
I don't know if I have, unless you mentioned it last time. The name sounds familiar.
You eat a lot of it. Pig fat, kasha, which is buckwheat. It's pretty bland.
I imagine in those scenarios, you're just trying to get calorie-dense food in to have energy to carry on doing what you're doing, right? As opposed to something.
We eat a lot of crap. What
about water? That water clean you're drinking?
Bottled water. Never gone thirsty. People do farther forward. I even drink the tap water, not in the East. or not in the south. But it's a European country. We've got supermarkets.
Yeah.
My war-life balance was really good in Kherson. That's where I went after this. That's the south. They're on the other side of the river of us, and in Kherson City, I think it has 600,000 people. They say there's still 100,000 left. There's 10 supermarkets. They even got a posh supermarket there that makes like Marks and Spencer's look kind of.
Really?
Yeah, they do have one. You can buy nice bread, things like that. And sometimes, it gets hit usually at night, and you don't know what's going to get hit. It could be the hospital, it could be whatever. But there's a market in the daytime. Life continues. People can't imagine that. They're the other side of the river. It's a big river, and we're there.
Well, when you're sat at home and you hear of a war somewhere, we watch a lot of Hollywood films, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
So everyone presumes, I think, that everywhere in that country is an absolute bombs going off, buildings shattered. But I remember when we last spoke, that's not always the case, is it? There's pockets that are like that, but the rest of the places are still civilized as normal. Is that correct?
It's civilized as normal. I mean, there's a big divide between people in the war and not in the war. In Kiev, there's still all the pretty boys with the big arms and small legs. Yeah. Yeah. They definitely skip leg day.
Yeah.
There's money, there's wealth, there's opulence. But then there's a different reality too.
Is there any kind of joint, not working, but like Russians and Ukrainians, there's a divide in the border, but do the people on the ground see any kind of, does any of them see any, I'm trying to find the right word for it, like empathy for each other or see the other side's story? Do any of them get on? Is there any Russians in your Ukrainian side that are helping you?
Yeah, we've got Russians. We've got Belarusians as well. I watched a very graphic GoPro video of a friend of mine, a medic. He pulled a woman. Her name was Olya Semenova. And she was an idealist. She was an eccentric like me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was Russian, and she came, I think, in 2015 for the Ukrainian side to fight in Donbass. Lost her family, lost her friends, by doing this. Yeah, she was a triple amputee and she died. I watched the video. He tried to save her. She was a Russian woman. She was a hero. She was a commander. She was an armored vehicle commander in the Ukrainian army. Russian.
Wow.
Yeah. One of my best friends that doesn't speak a word of English that I met the first couple of weeks of the war. He's lived in Ukraine for it'll be 6-7 years now, for 4 years, at least, with his family. Married a Ukrainian woman, a Russian man in the Ukrainian army. We've got a lot of that,
Well, I imagine pre-war there was a lot of it anyway, right? You're next door
family,
to each other.
cousins.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, but on the Ukrainian side, everybody I know, they don't talk to their family anymore. A girl I know, she was very ashamed to tell me that her mother lives in Crimea. And she's begged her mother to leave Crimea, to fly to Georgia, to another country. And, you love it in Georgia, Mom. You loved when we went on holiday. No, I stay here. If I die, I die.
I remember last time we spoke, you said you were trying to evacuate houses and you'd get these stubborn old women that would be like, I'm not going, I'm not leaving. You still got a bit of that going on?
I leave them to it. I don't care anymore.
Really?
I don't give a shit. My friends are my priority. The army's the priority. Absolute priority. They got a saying in Ukraine, "Хороший русский," good Russian. It's a dead Russian.
I'm with you.
That's just me.
Do you feel safer out there, bro?
Yeah.
From 9 months ago. 9 months ago, you'd have been blown up. You were blown up in a truck. There's loads of shit going on. Does it feel a bit safer now? Do you feel like you've got less chance of getting hurt doing what you do? Not on about the frontline soldiers, but doing what you do.
In Ukraine.
Yeah. Not here in Bournemouth.
Well, not here in Bournemouth. It's about 1 kilometer at the narrowest, 800 meters across to the other side of the river. I work on the right-hand side of the river, pick them up at the beach, live in a bunker. We can only work at night. So that's what I said, the war-life balance. I was out running during the day. I share a flat with someone in the city that cost about a 3-bedroom flat for about 20 quid a month, all in.
Wow.
Yeah, all in. And it's a north facing. We don't want like a south facing garden because the Russians are on that side. And you could only work at night because there's no boat crossings during the day. And we can go to a million different places to pick them up because it's only along the sea, and been hit a couple times. You know what I mean? If it's happening 300 meters away, 500 meters away, it's not happening to you. Do you know what I mean? So it's we had the best medical point, and then we got told, we captured one of their radios. They know we're here because it was theirs when they were in Kherson, and we packed up within 2 hours and left. And we're like, when are they going to hit it? But 2 days later, they blew it to smithereens. You know what I mean? It was nothing left.
That was lucky.
Yeah. But we got the radio. We got the, things happen all the time. The commie block we lived in the courtyard, the old babushkas said, "We're happy you're here because it's Kherson. It's liberated. It's Ukrainian. They're like, we're so happy you're here, but please don't park your cars, all the green cars. Don't park near that transformer, this blue building where all the power was. Because park over on the other side, because if that blows up, we have no electricity and water for the winter." That's all they wanted from us.
Yeah.
And so it only happens at night, and you would know when the last boat's coming from the commander. So you could stop working you start working at 7 p.m. You could stop at 2. You could stop at 8 in the morning. But we never seen the dead because they weren't the priority, because we have so few boats. All the airways and breathing casualties, we hardly ever got any because I think they died over there. So that's sad. We should talk about that in the podcast. But we'd get 30 to 50 guys a night just on our point. And
what, dying?
No.
Oh,
We never got the dead because they're the other side of the river, right?
Got you.
And we have 3 beds under there. Stabilize them takes about 20 minutes. They come in waves, and all the guys with concussion and light shrapnel, here, go, we'll patch you up, but then go sit over there, wait and smoke and whatever. And when we get enough of yous, like, an L200, a Mitsubishi L200, you can fit 4 or 5 guys in there. So I'm getting to work with hemostats and all this shit in there, and they're letting me do more and more. And if I don't know, just ask. And then when we would get enough, then I would get to drive them to Kherson City Hospital. And then I'd come back and work again till we got enough light guys. And half the time I'd work on the beach, and that's where the drones and the mortars hit you. And I mean, I've only handled 4 bodies in Kherson. And one night, like, I'll give you an idea how easy it makes my job, how easy it makes their job, but how fucking busy it is during those hours, because we only have those hours to work. But then you can sleep, you can masturbate for like another 12, 14 hours, and you will have no work. Do you see how freeing that is?
Yeah.
But like, we had one guy with a concussion, and he was in the front with Sergei Perashenko, and I'm in the back of the box, and we got 2 dead guys. Now, I can't make him. It's immoral. I could if I was a dickhead. You ride up front, I'll sit in the back with the stiffs. One was dead 2 days. The other guy was dead over a month. Oh. And you could feel he was in the bag, but you could feel it was like gelatin, like inside when you picked him up, and it smelled like rotten lobster. And I'm just stuck in the back with him with my thing up here. And then the moment we get phone signal, I'm on a pontoon boat. I just start swiping like mad on Tinder, like just to not, the moment, because we have phone signal, it comes and goes. It's like, what am I going to do to not think about it? This guy was like scaring me, like his leg wouldn't stop moving. He was there for over a month.
His leg wouldn't stop moving.
His leg wouldn't stop moving because we're bumping around in the
right.
The
Sorry.
stiff was stiff. He's a rigor mortis. But this guy was like, because it's so cold, but he's through some process of decomposition. But how many bodies do we have the other side of the river that we can't get? I don't know how many are there. The fact that we don't have airways and breathing casualties because they're breathing issue, they're a bitch to deal with, suggests to me that they just die over there.
Yeah.
So it's horrific, and there's many bad things that happen to me, and people will think I'm a cunt, but my job got easy because it's like I take the last hospital run, and some guys do have apartments in the city, I take the last hospital run in, and then I go to bed at whether it be 3 a.m, 8 a.m. I'd be up before noon, and we had it was still warm until like November. I go running, pop in my headphones, and I started using Strava, but not tracking my route, and just don't run near the river because the city's it's a big 600,000 people city, I go running. I did stretching. I had a shower every day. It's not like that in Donbass. It's not like that in Donbass at all. We had high flow work every night, but only during those times.
Wow.
So my war-life balance was, do you know what I mean?
War-life balance. That's quite interesting anyway.
Yeah. That's why I get so like it sucks. But when you're with good people and you can appreciate those circumstances and then it's like, and you hear people bitch all the time, and it's like in this country or America, thank you for your service. Where's my medal? It's like, you wanted to join the army. Fuck off. I'm cynical about that. I know we have to applaud our heroes for society, but I think it's all bullshit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you know what I'm saying. But
no, I get it. I get what you're saying. I was thinking where they've picked a career path that's dangerous.
Mm-hmm. In a peacetime, we've always been in peacetime. Iraq and Afghanistan does not count as wartime.
It doesn't count as wartime.
Total war. Do you know what I mean? You're going to go there for 6 months, and
I'm with you.
And in your battalion, out of 600 people, 10 died, which is fucking horrible. But there's guys. I'm not calling everybody out, but there's this Band of Brothers bullshit. And I've become very sensitive to it. It's like some guys are talking 5 years later, like, yeah, I remember when we lost so and so. You met him once. There is a bit of that. There's a bit of that, Mm-hmm. I hope that's a minority in society, but it's like, oh, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you. They put up their Facebook posts like, men in their 40s now. Once a man sees war, he'll never see the world the same again. Well, once you're divorced, you'll never see the world the same again. What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
Keep it real, like Ian Beale's son. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that seems to trigger you a bit, that bit, doesn't it?
But it's not just war. It's a lot of things in life, like the fakeness.
This is the sad state of life.
Do you know what I mean? We're not going to get the views of, but it's real.
I feel like
I hope you can turn a profit off this, because
no. I feel like the fake thing has been around for as long as humanity has. It's probably heightened now because of phones, social media, the internet. One, heightened as in we can see more of it, and two, people are doing more of it because that's what sells. So I think there's an element of both there.
Hi guys, while I've got you, I wanted to announce an exciting new sponsor for the show. For those that know me or listen regularly, you'll know that I'm a big combat sports fan, and some of my favourite kit to use when training is by a brand called Venom. Fellow combat sports fans will know Venom as the UFC's official outfitting apparel partner. They have clothing and equipment for MMA, boxing, Muay Thai and BJJ. However, what I'm most excited about is their new lifestyle range, some of which I'll be rocking on the show. It's a privilege to partner with a global brand such as Venom. Will it make me a better athlete? Probably not, but at least I'll look good doing it.
Do you watch any news?
Not much. Not much. I get the highlights.
And when you watch your news out there, you watching Western news, the highlights? Or
I just watch
their
YouTube.
News? Okay.
There's Ukrainian war vloggers, American, Estonian, Ukrainian, British. Sometimes I watch some of them. Like maybe I'll watch 20-minute little videos 3 times a week. Some of them I know personally, they've supported us, so I find it comforting to watch them.
Yeah, I just wonder if, I was going to pick your views on it, if whether you feel the news is doing justice of the challenges that you guys are facing out there. Do you see what I mean? Because we always get, like, the media does this thing where something tragic happens, there's a spike in reporting, and then it naturally will drop off.
Yeah.
And then something new comes along.
Mm-hmm.
Then that spikes. You know, for a lot of us, I think here is you know, a lot of people I spoke to, it's almost like, without sounding insensitive, not forgotten war, because obviously now there's a lot of light on the Middle East, Palestine and
Yes, tragedy.
Israel. Yeah,
Tragedy.
so it's like whether you felt that you guys were getting enough coverage.
Well, yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. My heart goes out to the people of Gaza. My heart goes out to the Israelis who were massacred in the first week. It's a sideshow. It's a sideshow, and I'm no expert. I'm no General Ben Hodges, but where did Hamas get their drones? Where did they learn that from? You know, where do they come from? From Iran, and I think it's part of a bigger thing, and that certainly sunk us in the news cycle. You know, it's really cruel. It's really cruel, Ty. Everyone, the war vloggers, the mainstream media, yeah, Russia is weak. Russia's losing this. They're alcoholics. They're incompetent, corrupt. They're so weak. They're not when they're shooting at you and your friends are dying, and the governments have to sell it. They have to sell it. We're helping Ukraine. It's a virtue signal. You know, it's what are the 3 biggest ones? I'll go say it. So you got the pride flag, you got the trans flag, you got the Palestinian flag, you got the Ukraine flag. You can edit that if you want, but it's politicians. Oh yeah, like coming up for an election. Oh yeah, get my pride ticked, get my Ukraine ticked, and it's really. I'm supportive of all these things in principle, but it's really hurtful that we became a virtue signal. You know, Nike check mark, Ukraine flag, and you know, it's.
Do you not think it's interesting though that when the Ukraine war kicked off, everyone was putting Ukraine flags everywhere.
Yeah.
But you don't see any Palestinian flags by the masses. You know, there's a small group of people that I see that are trying to get the message out because the mainstream media hasn't been reporting maybe the way they should be or what's actually happening on the ground. But we seem to be also selective with our virtual signaling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially in the West.
Very selective. What if I told you this, like, if this was super special forces, SAS, if Parliament, if the White House sanctioned something, you wouldn't hear about it, you know, because it's special operations, and then the ground forces go in. They've been talking for 2 years about Ukraine's going to get F-16s, F-16 fighter planes. I'm sure you even heard about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to do this. That takes years to implement. And what does Russia do? They have this S-300 missile. I've got hit by an S-300. They're meant for the air. Gives you a right scare. Blew up our house. That's made for an aircraft. Oh, they're going to get F-16s. Well, the S-300 missile, now they have S-400 missiles. You know, maybe the Russians are thinking, thanks for the warning, dickheads. But we have to sell this to our electorate who vote us in. If I was a politician, look what we're doing. It seems very cruel, but it is what it is.
I mean, when is war not cruel, you know?
I don't think about this regularly. You're asking, so I'm just telling you.
No, I know. And it's like, we think of war and we naturally have a preset bias of which side we're looking or what the media is feeding us of who's the good guys and who's the bad guys, right? You know, like we when the Ukraine-Russia war kicked off, all the Western media was pro Ukraine.
Yeah.
Supporting Ukraine. So for someone, let's say at home like me or someone listening that doesn't necessarily understand the backstory or anything about it, puts on the 6 o'clock news and sees poor Ukrainians. And there's no like, you don't get to hear both sides of the story. Do you understand what I mean? Like even our politicians, you're going to meet a load of them tomorrow.
Yeah.
They've got a preset bias. Now, do they really feel that? Is there some political, financial stuff in the background that they have to tick? Do they need to get re-elected? What's the actual agenda? Is it real? Is it not real? This is the part I struggle with, because I like to take data, I like to take information before I make a decision. And if I can't find the data that I feel ticks the boxes of what I'm looking for, I will tend to sit not on the fence, but I struggle then to kind of voice my opinion on something. And there's for and against of everything, right? And I'm going to say this to you, like, obviously Putin's first ever interview done quite recently. Have you watched that?
I've watched bits and bobs of it. Yeah.
I mean, some people seem to be humanizing him and his perspective, while others are mocking him for it. I would be interested to see kind of what you or the Ukrainian people would have thought of that if you'd seen it.
Well, I'm not the most informed man in the world, and I heavily rely on stereotypes to simplify my life. And I admit it's wrong, but I have some serenity. So Ukraine good, Russia bad. I'm not American, but I get the general consensus Tucker Carlson's a dick. And I don't subscribe to left or right. I'm by virtue I'm more right wing. Mm-hmm. But apparently in America that's bad because they don't support Ukraine. But I am who I am, and I did watch a bit of this, and it was heavily anticipated. I think Mr. Carlson came out quite empty-handed. I think he came out empty-handed about Kiev and Rus and what happened 800 years ago. No, this is very important, Mr. Carlson. You must understand this. It's he didn't get his sound bites. Mm-mm. He came out empty-handed without his sound bites. I don't know what to make of that, but it certainly wasn't. It wasn't a victory for Russia. It wasn't a victory for those who'd like to stop our war funding.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit amusing. I almost felt like a small bit of sympathy, like he was Mr. Burns, like Smithers. Come now, let's put you back in your box.
Yeah.
This old man. Come on, let's put you back in the cupboard.
Tucker, but I got the same consensus as you, looking at the comments and just kind of gauging what people were saying online about him and what he was trying to do. But I just found, I think you and I spoke about this actually on the last interview, but there's an element that you keep hearing here that's coming out more and more recently, but in the beginning it wasn't, about kind of Russia's multiple warnings to Ukraine about this whole thing of not joining NATO or not letting NATO into the country to allow them to build a safe, a base or a barracks or whatever it might be this close to Russia's border, and supposedly the president didn't listen to it and blah, 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 blah. Now you hear all this stuff, from your perspective and Ukrainian people's perspective, you're on the ground there. Is there any merit in what he's saying here? What's your thoughts on that?
There probably is. And I don't mean to... How I justified it when I first went there. Have you got Amazon Prime? Have you?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of the UK population do you think has Amazon Prime? 50, 60% now?
Yes, because if you use Amazon a lot, you tend to get it for free. So they've kind of done this.
Yeah,
so probably a lot more than you think.
Where am I going with this? Yeah, so 60% of the West has Amazon Prime, but we do lots of bad, horrible things too, and hypocrisy. About 60% of Russia shits in holes outside. I like our hypocrisy better.
Mm.
Sorry to shut you down on that one,
No,
but
not at all.
I'm no intellect, but I've come to acknowledge I'm far from stupid.
Yeah.
I used to get so upset at my grandfather, my father, but you should know about this. You should be upset about this. He paid the bills and he didn't stress any more than he had to.
I find the...
Is that okay for you?
It's perfect. I find that, it's your opinion, right? So if that's what you want to say, that's what you want to say.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. And again, what you're doing out there, you may not get as much chance to speak to people in the area that we might think you're getting. You're not spending your time going around interviewing locals.
No.
You're spending your time trying to help people that are wounded.
Yeah.
So it's a slightly different... What I find interesting about what you said is our I feel like the older generation were really in tune with current affairs. And for some reason, I feel like some of the younger generation aren't as, even though the information is at the tip of our fingers. We seem to be walking around a little bit more kind of in our own little bubble and worrying about our own little... Now, you'd argue, what's the right way to live
Too
a
many
peaceful
options.
life?
Too many options.
Like same as if I spoke to my dad about Gaza or Russia or some other conflict from history, he'll give me the skinny on it from his perspective and what his parents might have told him and what he experienced. You know, if I speak to him about the Turkish and Kurdish conflict, he's someone that's fled that country and come here for me to have a better life during all of that.
Yes, he did.
So
Yes, he did.
He would give his opinion on it of what he's heard his peers talk about, but he's very in tune with it, very passionate about it. Whereas if you might ask me about that conflict in Turkey, I've been here since I was 2 years old.
Yeah,
I have a little bit of knowledge of it, but I'm not consumed by it. Am I being insensitive to that? Should I know more about that? Or should I get on with my life here? Do you see what I mean? There's this kind of battle, and I feel it with the Ukraine, Russia, and I feel it with Gaza, Palestine, Israel, sorry. And I know a lot of people around me are the same, that they probably haven't done enough research, which isn't an excuse. Ignorance isn't an excuse, especially when the information is available to you.
Yes.
So a lot of them are just sat on the fence. But, you know, you always hear these quotes and stuff about kind of, let's go back to Hitler and that whole period.
Yes.
When you speak to people now about that, they go, if I was alive then I would have done X, right?
Easy to say.
And very easy to say now, but we're alive in the Ukraine-Russia conflict. We're alive in the Israel-Palestine conflict. And what are we doing?
Not much.
Well, because in 30 years, 50 years, 100 years, people that are alive then will look back and go, if I was alive then, I would have done X. But we're alive now. Now, are we doing that X? Do you see what I mean?
Not really. No, we're not.
Well, you are. You're walking the walk.
Yeah, but I'm an eccentric outlier. I'm an eccentric outlier. That's all. And I thought about this. If this war spreads wider, what do I get out of that? I get vindicated. What a shitty thing. You know what I mean? For my own ego. But people like me will just be, I hope we can win. It's not looking good. But
would it get wider? Is it going to get wider? Is others going to get involved? Like we're hearing on the news?
I think so. If I don't know what victory is. I don't know what defeat looks like. Does he take the whole of Ukraine? People say, "Oh no, that's impossible." I don't know. Nobody knows what the future holds. Was it those black swan events?
Mm-hmm.
Funny about those black swan events. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to dig bones here. David Cameron thought he'd have a referendum once. Oh yeah, we'll just do this. Look what happened here. The whole country turned upside down. And some people say for better or worse, you know. But that was a black swan event, you know. Rather insignificant when you think of human lives to our war. Nobody knows how this will end. But why would they not if they won? If they got what they wanted?
But this is the thing, right? So
bullies.
What does winning look like? So what does winning look like for Ukrainian people? What in their eyes is we've won? That's it. It's over.
Well, Mr. Zelensky would say full restoration of territorial integrity to their 1991 borders, to get Crimea back, to get all of the Donbass back, all of Kherson, all of Zaporizhia, all of Ukraine, every square inch. That would be his definition of victory. Other people might say to save as many of our people as we can, to kill as many of theirs, for maybe the lines to stay where they are now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and then on the flip side, what would the Russian win look like from your and Ukrainian people? That they take over all of Ukraine.
What could he sell as a victory? Securing all the Donbass and Crimea and the land he has now, with their Maginot line of trenches that they've constructed. maybe to take to the city of Dnipro, which is the second city of Ukraine. That'd be quite a prize. I don't know.
You know what I found interesting in that interview? Putin said the Russia-Ukraine ties will eventually heal. Is that possible, do you think? Or is it bullshit?
I know one of my best friends, Dmitry, I asked him about his family in Russia. Does he have family there?
I remember him, yeah.
I love him. I love him. Don't fuck with nerds. Do you know what I mean? They can do more on a laptop than you ever can with a rifle. And I said, yeah, we've got family in Russia. I've got cousins there. I met them when I was a kid. I didn't really like them. And he just telling matter of fact, but I think the last time I talked to them was 2 years before the war. We haven't talked. So on his personal level, he has no interest. Mm-hmm. I know other people who've had family members call them and say, you're all going to die. But not in hatred, just as a matter of fact, people from Russia calling them, you're all going to die. That's nice. That's nice. You know what I mean? Like, no, I don't think so. I don't think they want, I know a girl who, let's be honest here, she's, I don't know, I think she's about 35 and she worked with a girl in her office that was 25. Young, pretty girl, duck lips, just looks like a perfect girl here in Poole, you know what I mean, out on a Saturday night. And she's moved to Moscow and she's living her best life. She left Ukraine and went to get a job in Moscow.
Wow.
Yeah, she's not on the Christmas card list anymore. I don't know how that's gonna play out.
When do you come home? At what point are you satisfied that you've done enough?
Well,
you keep going back. You keep going back.
I think total 20 months because I left before, so about just shy of 21 months. And if I want to be honest with you, like between my hospital stays and going to get supplies and just to hide in Kyiv, I probably spent about 3 months of that in Kyiv, so 17 months of war, and I like it there. I really like it there, and I like the people. I sold out for my own self-interest to come back to Sweden to fight with immigration. So that's you've got to be. Some people are selfish, and I was selfish. I didn't want a life after the war without my dog. That's what it's all about. I'll go back. I need to go back, and I need to at whatever capacity. The last couple of months before I left, I was working in a Humvee, working in the back of I've never worked in a Humvee before. They're awful bouncy. But yeah, I'll go back and I'll do everything I can. And I'll see the war through till the end. Somehow.
Till the end.
Till the end.
Whether that's the end of the war or end of you.
Death isn't scary. It's life. Life that's scary. You
accepted you could die? You could die?
Yeah. Don't want to. But I don't do the tip of the spear job. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to call out any names here, but I know other foreigners online. Like some people are deflated by me. Swedish Veterans Organization fella said we packed 400,000 euros worth of IFAKs, individual first aid kits, since I came back. A fundraiser we did. And he said, "Were you a combat medic before the war?" I was like, "I was in the army years ago for 4 years." I was like, "No, I work for IKEA." And he looked at me so disappointed, so deflated, didn't want to talk to me anymore. It was a man sent to Coventry. But I know other people that he idolized that are liars. I'm just telling my truth.
See, this is the interesting thing.
I love it.
I actually find what you do braver, in a sense. And what I mean by that is for someone to get off their sofa to go and actually walk the walk and help is very different to someone that's had 10 years of training at war, then goes to help, in my opinion. And I might get some hate for saying that, but someone that feels so passionate about something that gets off their arse and does something about it, with no prior training, which is what you've done.
Neither
just
did
turned up in
the Ukes didn't have it. They didn't have it. They did it. All their experienced soldiers now, 90% of them are dead. So it's the ones that joined up in the first couple of weeks of the war, not the mobilized. They didn't have it.
You know what I find with these conflicts as well, like if we look at, sorry to keep going back to the Israel-Palestine, but
Sure.
if you look at how many decades that conflict has been going on for, you know, in recent, since October 7th, obviously it's been heightened again, and it goes through these cycles, but it's probably the worst it's been now. Do you see maybe that Russia, Ukraine will go down a route where it will calm down for a period, then it'll reignite, it will calm down for a period, then it'll reignite, and rather than being a 5-year war, let's say like England, Germany, it will be decades and decades of conflict.
That old chestnut, just like...
You know, one of those ones where I just feel any, you know, if we look at history, is there any war, two sides that have disagreed and started killing each other and their civilians that have really ended, that have not destabilized, that have not then carried on living? Do you understand what I mean? Like a hard line, you know, this, and we said it earlier, this win or lose. Is there a win or lose? What are we winning and what are we losing? I mean, lives, don't get me wrong, civilians, I don't want to be insensitive to them. Members of the public that should have nothing to do with this are being killed. You know, 12,000 children have been killed in Gaza. Children, bro. What's their crime?
What is their crime? They were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they had their whole lives ahead of them. It
is cruel.
Yeah, it's very cruel. It's very cruel. That, you know, that shit screwed me up, you know what I mean, a little bit, if I'm honest. The children, the women, old people. I don't know why. I see he's a man, but he's an old man. I've done a lot of wrong things in my life, but I've always respected my elders, and to see them dying and suffering, I've kind of removed myself from that.
The children is
the army
hardest.
Isolates you from that.
Well, you've got to desensitize to it, otherwise you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing. But the children part I struggle with. I really struggle with, because, and again, without sounding insensitive, when I see an 80-year-old, a 90-year-old, nothing against them, is they've had a life. They've lived 80, 90 years. I don't know in what capacity or what condition, but
children are the
when
best.
You look at 5-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, the people that are dropping the bombs, the people that are, I'm not even on about the ones that are making the decisions. I'm on about the ones that are physically flying out and dropping those bombs. And I know they're following orders, but they got to go home to their kids, kiss their kids goodnight. How do you do that and that? How do you blow 5 kids up there and then go back and kiss your kid goodnight and live with yourself?
I don't know how they do it. But
I'm generally speaking, not just for that conflict. Generally, the children thing. Just stop killing fucking children.
It don't work that way, though, does it? You know that, and I know that.
Yeah, I know.
You know, your family's Turkish, right?
Well, we're Turkish, Kurdish, Armenian, and Sicilian mongrels. But yeah, we say Turkish.
My father's Lebanese, and I always use that card to get out of trouble so I can have opinions.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? I'm not white. Do you know what I mean? And my grandfather, his mother, moved to Canada. You know, and my grandfather, she died the year I was born, but my grandfather told me that she went back to Lebanon for like 2-3 months, you know what I mean, in the 70s, you know, before I was born. And that was a big thing. You know, she went, my grandfather never went. And then the Civil War kicked off in Lebanon. And Lebanon used to be this great, great country. Now it's a basket case. And, you know, she died in 86, but my grandfather always told me growing up, because I lived with him, that she was so bitter about that, because she got to see her homeland, you know, where she was born as a child, where her parents come from, the way she was raised. And it was beautiful, and the food and the weather, you know, and the people and the warmth. And then it just, some, don't quote me on the dates, but they just slaughtered each other, killed each other. We're Christian Lebanese, you know what I mean? And she's very bitter against the Muslims. And it's very easy for me to take a side, but whenever I meet Lebanese people, and I would, careful Brandon, I would take a side if I was Lebanese. Of course I would. You'd stick with your own. But anytime I meet them, I've been all over the world. The Lebanese are everywhere. They're in Canada, they're America, they're Australia, they're here. I don't care if on a human level, I don't care if they're Muslim or Christian. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're Lebanese, where's your and I know a bit about the country. Then they're disappointed I can't speak Arabic, but
it's good and bad in all of it, isn't it?
But a country that destroyed itself. And on that same note, Gaza, West Bank, I've been there.
Have you been there?
Yeah, I've been. I've been to Israel 8 times. I've been to the West Bank twice. I've been to a wedding in Ramallah. I've never been to Gaza. Oof. You know, I traveled all over the place. And you know what? Every time something kicks off there, it's like, oh, well, that's the way it's meant to be. It's been going on for so long. It's normalized. That's a cruel... you're probably going to get some hates in the comments that'll add to the algorithm, but that's just the way I see it. Whenever there's trouble, because I've grown up, I've never known it to be any different. Something has to happen there every 5-10 years. It's just.
But this is kind of what I was.
Oh well, that's.
This is what I was talking about, right? So you don't pick where you're born. You don't pick any of that stuff. You don't pick who your parents are. But wherever we grow up, we're fed history. Bias to us naturally. You know, if you look at the history lessons you learn, where were you at school from, let's say, roughly 8 years old to 15 years old?
In Canada.
In Canada,
yeah.
Right. I was in England, and I would love to see the difference between our history lessons in terms of who are the good guys, who are the bad guys, why stuff were done, right? Because naturally every country is going to teach it bias.
Of course.
So then you grow up with this preset bias or this preset thing of how things should be. And you're right. For my whole life, there's been that conflict in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So similar to you, if I was being ignorant and insensitive to it, I'd just be like, it's always been like that. And you detach yourself because it's not very close. You forget there's real humans dying there, innocent humans that have done nothing but be born wrong in the wrong place at a wrong period of time. They could have been born in a decade that it was peaceful, or and then moved out after and not maybe seen as much.
Yeah, no, I grew up in Canada, and there's one thing I never sat right with me, even as a kid. We're the best country in the world.
Is that what they teach you?
They teach you, if they still do, we're the best country in the world because we have, because they compare to America, yeah, and it's like we have socialized medicine, we have free healthcare. Well, actually, everyone in the world does except America, pretty much, to a different degree. And we're a great country. We're a fair country. We send the peacekeepers on the UN missions. This is what we're taught in school. This is all true. And Canada's done this and Canada's done that. On the world stage, nobody really cares about Canada. Don't tell that to a Canadian, though. And then, over the past, I moved away. I moved here in 2007. And then especially the past 10, 15 years, things that I never knew true. I grew up around a native reserve. We used to be able to say Indian in school, and it wasn't considered racist. Now you can't say Indian, and I agree with that. You know what I mean? Because Indians are in India, but it's a slip of the tongue. When I go home and I watch TV shows as a kid and the way Canada was, and then they've done inquests that we were still killing our native population into the 70s. In the residential schools, they would move them into the school system. I knew about it, but I didn't know that was still going on till the 70s. That no, you're going to leave. You're going to come live with us. Don't speak your native language. Your parents are no good. Mass graves have been uncovered. That this was still going on in the 70s in Canada. And do you know what? This sounds really bad. As I kind of want to ignore that. It's like, oh, I don't like that history. That wasn't the history I was taught. I'm not really comfortable with that.
Doesn't fit with your.
Do you know what I mean? I knew Canada wasn't the best country in the. What is the best country in the world? That's just.
Yeah.
It's a great country. It's a fantastic country.
You can't have a best country in the world because
England's a great country.
It's a great country. Yeah. It all depends on the people.
Yeah.
The people in the country, the people running the country, the people influencing the country. All the countries are the same. They're a piece of land. They're a rock that's come above the sea that we're living on.
Yeah.
That's all it is at the bottom line. It just depends who's there, what ideology they're living by.
Do you do good for your community? First, you got to take care of your family, then outward.
Yeah, I think I do.
Try.
I think I do, yeah.
Trying, mate.
But there's that, I've read something again the other night that said, I used to think I was clever and I would change the world. Now I'm wise and I understand I need to change myself. So like, we can't always influence externally. We can influence internally. And by influencing internally, the people directly around you are influenced, are affected positively. And you just hope that ripple grows and grows and grows. Listen, you and I, you and I aren't going to affect this podcast. Anything isn't going to affect what's going on in any of these conflicts that we talk about. It's much bigger things at play than us. And some of the people you do get in the comments that are going to slag us off or slag, the keyboard warriors, they can't understand how deep some of the stuff goes, how high up it is, and what the actual long-term agenda and play is of some of this stuff. It's world-level chess.
Yeah.
We're in a 10-year period of it or a 70-year period of it that we live. But you may find that 150 years ago, X decided to do Y, and it was going to take 200 years to realize. Do you see what I mean? And we're in this period thinking we're really making a difference, but they're still on course for what they planned 150 years ago.
Of course.
It's way above us.
But that doesn't give us a pass to be complacent in our own lives.
No, not at all. This is what I was trying to get at. So you still need to affect those around you. If I could leave the earth a bit better than I found it, fantastic. I don't know if any of it matters in the end when we're gone. Do you see what I mean? Or if anyone will be remembered for what they do or don't do, unless you write a book maybe.
Yeah.
that carries on being read. Like the Daily Stoic, I read that book, Marcus Aurelius' Passages. They're a few thousand years old, a couple of thousand years old, and everyone every year there's a new book about them, a new interpretation of it. People are reading it.
It don't matter where we're going. It's just to try every day, mate. My war, our war, my friends. I don't really care about Ukraine as an ideal. I'm just so hooked on my friends. You know what I mean? Like I want to help them. I want to be there with them. I want to share the burden. And it helps me. Like I feel really good about myself now. I have some rough days with some things in life, and I've still got a lot of growing up to do. The more I grow up, the more I realize what I haven't.
So when you first went out there, obviously I remember we said in the last episode, you felt a deep calling to go. And you don't really know what that was from, where it came from, but you listened to your gut and you went.
Yeah.
Then you've got there on the front, I say front line. Then you've got there on the ground, I should say.
Yes.
And you've made some amazing friends from
Amazing
all
friends.
nationalities.
Mm-hmm.
And now are you saying that what's keeping you going back and keeping you fighting is actually them?
Yeah. You think about it. I mean, I don't know Yaroslav in Lviv. You know what I mean? Who's that? Sure, he's a very nice man, but I don't know him. But I know Dima. I know many Sashas. I know Sergei. We got 2 Sergeis in 35 Brigade in the medics, and one's called Sergei Biden. I call him that. They all laugh because he drives a Humvee. And the other one is Sergei Poroshenko, the corrupt piece of shit president before, because he drives the shitty Ukrainian ambulance. Who am I working with tonight? Sergei Biden or Sergei Poroshenko? I simplify. I love them. And they really care about me.
And is there banter and their morale generally pretty good when they're there? And
oh
kind of
my
at it?
God, is it great? My next YouTube video that's going to come out, and my audience is very patient because it's not quality productions. I'm working with Sergei, with me, Sasha, and Sergei Biden in the Humvee, and we go to the beach. We still don't know what happened to that boat. Maybe it got blown up. They shot at us. Then we drive. Let's get the fuck out of here. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear. And the camera's all like Blair Witch Project, my war videos. And then we go make another run somewhere else, and they're shooting, and it's not us. And then all of a sudden, let's go home. The boats didn't make it tonight. And then I guess it would have been a half hour later. It's mayhem. we've got 5 guys in the back of the ambulance, and I'm falling on one with a hole in his leg, and it's absolute chaos. But everybody lived, and me and Sasha are laughing, and at the same time we're patching up this guy. And then next thing you know, later that night, and because I'm going through footage on my phone, I got a terabyte of stuff. It's so mentally draining. I haven't touched it in so long. I need to produce YouTube to keep the war funding going. And then later that night, I'm going to Sergei Poroshenko's house, because we all live in the village, and it's me and him. And I was like, "What the hell is that?" He's got a rat. We've got a rat in the house, and we're making a big thing about the rat. Should we shoot the rat? What should we do? We try to get him into a Pringle container. You know what I mean? It's like, no, he's too fat, the bastard, to fit into a Pringle container. How do we get him? And then he takes the rat outside and beats it to death because we can't shoot it because shooting in the village is not good. But that was our entertainment for the night. It's we ain't got TV. But that was all the same. I look at that now and I think, this guy could have lived or died. The others were all going to live, and one of them's got a hole in his leg, and I fall when we hit a bump and land in his leg. The NHS should get done for that, malpractice. It's like, and telling this one, "You shut up, don't you move your arm," because I'm trying to run a line into him, and you can't talk to people like that here. Mm. And then at the end of the night, we're joking, we're smoking and joking. We have so much fun.
It's amazing that you can in that sort of conditioning situation, to be fair, but I guess there's a bit of hope in there still, right? Like even what you said earlier about you gone back to Sweden to make sure your visa is okay.
Yeah.
And you felt that was selfish.
It is.
I see that as hope. I don't see that as selfish. Because what I see there is that you have hope that this is going to end one day peacefully, that you're going to come back and be able to be in Sweden and be with your dog. That's how I understood that. Do you see what I mean? Because if you knew deep down you were never coming back, if you felt you were never coming back, why would you care about a visa in a different country?
On a personal level, and I make a lot of mistakes, but it's like, I can't lose. I can't lose. Do you know what I mean? Like, as simple, as humbling as it is, I had to do a lot of pre-study, but now I've got the first qualification to work for the NHS. I need to do 120 hours pre-study to do the next course. I'll be back here again in May or June. Hopefully we do good on the algorithm and you'll want to see me again. But
I'll always want to see you, mate.
Yeah, but stress. I don't want to work in the medical field after the war. Hell with that. But I'm so pumped, because I can serve better. And I get a good feeling out of it. Everyone backs me. If I say I need help, I was always the guy trying to help people in town. I told you the story about Ross saving him from his wife, when he forgot to take the bins out. I ask people for help nowadays, and I am useless without other people. They help me. And that's kind of, for me, in a personal level, for a child who didn't get enough love, it's really completed the cycle. Do you know what I mean? I always help people because I want to show how I could be part of. And now I need help, and I'm getting help from people I don't even know.
There was a quote that you just reminded me of, and it said, you always trying to help others and show others love because it's the part of your life that was missing, that you wish you had someone there for you when you were growing up, sort of thing. I've probably butchered that a little bit, but it reminded me of that.
Mate, this is...
What you've missed as a kid is what you're trying to fill up, make up for now.
Of course we do.
Let's touch on your friends, bro. Last time you were here, there was like 4 or 5 of them that you were really close with, and we spoke about the 2 guys that had got killed. One was English, one was whatever. Since then to now, 9 months have passed. Are all your friends okay? Everything's okay? Anything? Have you been injured since? Anything that's happened that?
I haven't had a concussion.
That's good.
No. I'm okay. One of my best friends, he has some really long-term health problems. I don't know if he'll get discharged out of the army or not. He's got a lot of metal inside of him. When I went back to Ukraine, I went to spend a few days with him and his family. A few people have died that I knew quite well, but the people that if I'm honest, that I really care about, that I think would mess me up, they're still going. There's one person who's going through a lot of problems right now, and even self-harming. You know what I mean? I would never mention who it is because I wouldn't violate their anonymity, but, living in a hole, and the Russians are 3 kilometers away, and they're doing little acts of self-harm, but, they're telling me about it. This is what I mean, the mental, the physical. People are getting worn down. Someone who volunteered for the army and is braver than me and more. Most of my friends are okay. They're okay.
The mental side is, it's unimaginable. Even the ones that probably comparatively look strong and like they're dealing with it okay now, like in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, that's the part that I think most humans would really struggle with. No matter how resilient you may think you are, or it comes out in different ways, doesn't it?
So, the Russians are Peter. I won't tell you what that means on the podcast. It's a very homophobic term.
Okay.
But then there's a Ukrainian Peter, and it's called Pideras. And everybody knows at least we're not a Pideras. We didn't run. We didn't steal when we had the opportunity.
Got you.
Better to die with a bullet in your chest than a bullet in your back. All the academics will jump on me and like that, but anybody who knows.
Death before dishonor.
It's none of that, but it's just, you know who you are and you know who you're with.
Let's circle back to you, bro. How are you? I asked you earlier, but I'm going to ask you again. Because you're different this time. A little bit. In your eyes.
Better or worse?
Better in the sense that I felt you were more anxious about everything last time. We spoke 9 months ago, but worse in the sense that you look a bit more empty behind the eyes.
Now. Well, first of all, I was on a massive media tour that was self-planned to get as much money and support as I could, and I had to follow a narrative. I never lied. I told the truth, but with an objective, and I was successful in that objective. I'm no big shot. I'm no A-lister. You had Ben Shalom here the other day. Mm-hmm. He's on his way up. My audience is watching this won't even know who the hell he is. But the thing is, I didn't want to do any interviews or any stuff this time. But I wanted to see you. Take that as a compliment or whatever. I wanted to see you. I have some bad days, and I know what to do about those bad days, because last time I was home, after I seen you before I went back to Ukraine, waiting for my Swedish visa, I went and hiked 500 kilometers in 14 days on Swedish Trail, because you want me to be honest, I had no more interviews, I had no more work. I'd just finished the Sopranos box set, and I was eating the condiments out of the, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I would only take my dog as far as to go for a piss, my most prized possession. What was wrong with me? I went to go hike to raise money to save my own head. It's not like that now. I knew right away from when I got home I had like a survival plan, mm-hmm. and that would have to involve fitness. I'm no Jake Best, but I did seven half marathons from Christmas till like the 15th of January, raising money for my friends.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah. Now I go swimming every day because I rip my hip flexor. I study every day, minimum an hour. It's very hard to keep my mind. You got to train that muscle when you're reading boring textbooks. What the hell did I just read? Go back a few pages. Be honest with yourself. I'm trying to take care of myself. But on Friday night, I came to Bournemouth to stay with Les, and this is my happy place in the world. And a euphoria came over me when I came into this town. Remember what I talked about before, the work that I put in this town. I feel I earned my place. I'm held up on Holdenhurst Road in the traffic, And 200 meters away, I see the other guy coming. I know who he is right away. He's waffling. Like he ain't even on his Bluetooth. He ain't right in the head, this guy, but everybody loves him in town. I know he's talking to himself. And I said, oh, you bellend. You know what I mean? But I was like, I'm so happy to actually know you're alive and living and doing your thing. Walking down Boscombe High Street the other day, you know, it's just so happy to see to see people doing as well as they're doing, to some better or worse. Mm-hmm. And everybody's just a little bit older, fatter and balder, but I'm so happy. So maybe I'm on a high because I'm in Bournemouth, you know?
Well, you know what I wonder with you, bro, you live a million miles an hour, right? So you're out there doing what you're doing. And then when you come back here, there's no chill. You're running 7 marathons in 7 days, then you're hiking 500k. Then you see what I mean? So you're studying, which is good, I guess, but I feel like you're keeping, but it's a positive, right?
Yeah,
they're all net positives.
It's all net positives.
But I feel like you're having to keep your brain so engaged all the time, whether you know you're doing it or not. What happens when all of that stops? What happens when you move back to Sweden on your own, just you and your dog, and there's nothing left? Your YouTube channel fizzles out because there's no Brandon War hero anymore.
No.
And you're on your own with your dog. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a friend, I'm asking that. Like,
well, wait and see. Wait and see. But it don't matter. It was worth it. It's all been worth it. Everything's been worth it, mate. Everything. You know, everything was a preparation. It was a precondition for everything that we have now in life, good or bad. And I believe there's no plateau. Not for long. We can go up. We can go down. You got a nice fit body. I mean, if you every day, I told this to one of the boys I used to coach at the gym, and I said, you know, I said, Wes, I wasn't really his coach, but I helped him along the way. Yeah. I said, if you get up and train tomorrow, the likelihood that you will get up and train the next day will be greater. Mm-hmm. But if you don't go out for your run tomorrow because there's a light rain, the likelihood that the next day you won't go will be greater. So it's like what you do today. It's what you do today. I'm pretty hard at it about 70% of the time.
Yeah.
We're gonna see. Who knows?
Last time we talked about not being someone's dancing bear. You use that. Do you remember?
Yeah,
being dancing bear. With them using you for like horrid stories and stuff. You have got a big profile now. I know you say you don't, but you know, on YouTube you have, and you're sharing videos and you're managing to raise funds for you and your crew. When you're trying to raise awareness, do you ever feel that you have to share stories that you don't want to share, but you're kind of having to sell your soul for the money?
Yeah. There's certain things that sell, so I've got to tell them that. You know what I mean? Like telling that Swedish veterans organization, no, I built kitchens for IKEA before. That didn't fit into his brand. You know what I mean? I wasn't that SAS operator who has his own coffee brand now and they jerk each other off on podcasts all the time about the brotherhood. You know, it's true. It's true. Some of them are the real deal, you know, but it's, you know, that one time they got mortared in Basra and, you know, they made a whole industry out of that. I got to do that. I got to do that stuff. You know, I got to mix the meat with the bread. But what I really like to do is just tell it the way it is. You know what I mean?
Anything positive that you've taken from your experiences, bro?
Yeah, a lot of positives.
Self-improvements, positive stuff that you've taken away from.
Yeah, well, my whole life, my 3 was worth your 2. With self-esteem growing up, but it's still that way, and I like it that way. I like it that way a lot, because I don't like to look on the past. You know what I mean? So many people, we see the past was their best days. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was Western Counties champion. I won the ABAs. So yeah, what are you doing now? You know what I mean? You're living in the past. I did this, but that don't matter. Yeah. It only matters what you can do today. I really believe that. You know that. And I learned to keep my mouth shut a bit more too. I'm so happy with that. Like in life. 2 weeks ago, we were in a Ukraine situation in Sweden with one of the organizations.
Yeah.
And these men who come in, and they could be good or bad, but this organization hired me because they have use for me, and they believe that I have more experience and insight than any of them, and in the particular field they want me. These 3 men come and to our warehouse, and I'm cutting up boxes, loading boxes. Yeah. I don't want them to know who I am, or who I think I am, or who anyone thinks I am. And I just do my job, and I listen to everything they say, that they're telling the boss man, who's never been to Ukraine, but he's got the millions. He's a good man. And I just want to listen to everything. And I'm not looking for them to be good or bad. And I'm listening to everything. And if I think there's something important that he should know after they leave, I'm going to tell him. And there's some things they don't know. They're telling the wrong thing. Are they lying, or they don't know the truth? Or they're telling what they were told? Very open-minded. Then this young Swedish boy works with the organization. He's got connections with one of the ex-prime ministers. You know, there's a lot of wealthy people who support the war. And I work for them now. And he starts telling them right away, do you know who Brandon is? He was over there doing this. I was like, whoa. It's like, no, I brought some cars over like them. And he shut up then. And he took away our greatest weapon. They don't know what I know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were never going to speak so freely again. I don't have to get the last word in anymore. I don't have to get it in my own home. I don't have to get it in the YouTube comments. I certainly don't get it in Ukraine, because I speak about 200 words the language. So freeing.
You know, you were saying earlier about living well and stuff. That reminded me of a Frank Sinatra quote where he says, it's not how well you're living, it's how long you're living well. You know, when you talked about we all live in the past, right? We do. Yeah. We all do generally fantasize the past. And it's never as good as you remembered, is it? If you think of a film that you loved 10 years ago, and you say you meet a new friend and you want to show them it, and you rewatch it 10 years later, and you've got this amazing build-up of it in your head, you fantasize about it, and it's shit. It's nearly black and white. It's pixelated. I did it the other day. I can't remember what the film was. I was saying to my wife, we've got to watch this film. It's amazing. It's amazing. Forgetting that I watched it when I was 18. I'm 35. So we put it back on. It's like watching it in a Nokia 3310, and it wasn't actually that good. I just fantasized about this film that was really good.
I did that a couple of days ago. I was thinking of video games for the SNES I played as a kid, you know? And I was like, oh yeah, remember how great that was? They're all on YouTube now. You know, there's people making millions off that, just replaying games and recording it and whatever. And I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This sucks. Okay, Donkey Kong, that was a classic, that still is. But there's very few. There's very few that stand the test of time.
Definitely.
You know, when you produce a Godfather 1, a Godfather 2, and you can watch that now, we're getting all over the show, mate.
But even some of them, like if you've never seen The Sopranos, and you start from the beginning, and it's in like 19 whenever it was filmed, it feels slow, because nowadays everyone wants excitement quick. We have no patience.
Yeah.
It feels fucking slow. You know what came out recently that was good but slow? Ozark. Did you ever watch Ozark?
Never watched it.
Oh, you've probably not know.
I not lived.
No, but it was we watched it all the way through, but it was a very slow series. But it kind of reminded me of that. Like there was a deep storyline. It was pretty slow, and most of the people I listened to it that said I couldn't finish it. It was a bit shit. I thought, yeah, you've got that short attention. Like kind of you need something.
You're
now.
One of them.
You need an explosion now or something.
That's life. And you know the nostalgia, what you're talking about there, what I see in my life. Like I remember things from my childhood. Do you know what I mean? I remember living in Melbourne as an illegal immigrant with loads of cash, and I was 23 and a hard on. You know what I mean? It's like amazing. Before the consequences of my drugs caught up to me.
Yeah.
And then I got clean there too. You know what I mean? And I seen both sides of it. I haven't been to Australia since, well, pretty much immigration pretty much told me, says, we're on to you. I've never been back since. I could go back now. I'm never going to get that back. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Just like those, I'm never going to get that feeling back. It'll be different. And if I look for that old thing, I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you finding that because you're going to Ukraine quite a lot, it's affecting travel into any countries?
I don't know. I don't really plan on going to North Korea, Iran, China, Sudan.
Generally, you're moving about all right, though.
Yeah, between Poland, Sweden, Germany.
Sweden, all right?
Sweden's all right. Sweden's good. I don't know if they're going to let me stay, but I'm going to fight like hell.
And do you think if they don't let you stay, it'll partly be due to that, or just the fact that
I didn't smile and pay my taxes and fit into the whole immigration situation's changed in Sweden. The laws have changed.
Yeah,
the politics have changed. And
I actually heard something a little while back that there's it's on the brink of civil war. Something to do with is that a load of rubbish?
That's a load of rubbish.
Is that the Western shit?
That's like them. That's like how they do them South End documentaries here about the English. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That ain't England. That's South End.
I'm with you.
It's the same. It's the same old shit.
Yeah, I think it's more to do. Was it to do with the cartels or something? Was there some big?
Yeah, there's a lot of crime there that they never had before. That's true. They call it samhällsfråga, society's question, and the current one is immigration.
Got you.
And it's a great country though. It's not as bad or as good as anyone thinks.
I've never been. I'd like to go.
Sweden is not just IKEA. Okay, Sweden.
Meatballs. That's all I think of.
Yeah, Sweden is not just blondes.
That was mildly racist.
Sweden,
I apologise for that.
Yeah, Sweden is not just stabbings, immigrant stab. It's a lot of things.
Yeah. But everyone focuses on the worst from kind of war stories, don't they? Like that, when you think of war, everyone focuses on who's been hurt, what's happened, all the worst stuff. But on the other hand, like, what's some of the most inspiring? Who are the most inspiring people that you've met? You know, is there some things what's the positives we can get from it?
I would say the people who stepped up. You know, normal people. And I know this because I'm in tune with my YouTube audience that is dwindled to the point I know who's there and I know what inspires them. I know where they come from. You know, not military people, IT people, teachers, normal background, and they can relate to Ukrainians who were living normal lives before the war. And you know, tell you about my friend Nika who ran day one of the war, 18 years old, to Slovakia with her sister, and after a couple months, what the hell am I doing? She came back. She's like, I was starting medical school. I should be there, not here. That's inspiring. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The kind of inspiration, you know, my friend Sasha, who is now, you know, normally in the army getting promoted in the peacetime army is a good thing. He's not too happy about it. Medical commander for a whole battalion. I got to drive him from Kherson to Odessa, where he's from. Odessa is a beautiful city, beautiful people. And I got to take him there for one night. We kind of snuck away, you know, like he had leave for it. But I went for his sister's birthday. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And his father is a paramedic, a civilian paramedic his whole life. He loved his father. Sasha's now, I can't say the English word, anesthetist. Mm-hmm. In my country, say anesthesiologist, anesthetist.
I struggle with that here.
Yeah.
Puts people to sleep.
He's an anesthesiologist, and his father was a paramedic. He surpassed his father, and I got to meet his father, his mother, his sister at his sister's birthday party, and they're always toasting. It's like everything they're toasting, and you know, I'm drinking my Coca-Cola, but I made a toast too, and I embarrassed him, and I made him translate every word of it. That how proud they should be of their son, you know, who has surpassed his father. Imagine the love and support that he had to follow a path like his father, surpass it, and that he is a great anesthesiologist and a commander who's loved by his men. And how proud I am to be sitting here, despite how embarrassed he is, that you will never know your son the way I know him, but I want you to know what it means. People like that. People like Yaroslava, people like Nika, people like the plumber Max from Poltava. Our house got blown up together one night, and who stepped up on day one. They're the best people. I'm not saying all Ukrainians are good, but those people who they got that feel, they just knew what to do. They're normal people who are doing amazing things.
Ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
That's the stories I want people to see. And if you humor me with it, you know, I've had fun with my YouTube channel, like even filming here in Bournemouth and stuff. You're in one of my videos. I want to show people my world, you know. I haven't been doing much of that, but all my favorite videos, I don't watch any of those war ones. They don't care about me. 500,000 views. That's just like watching the OJ chase. You know what I mean? They just want to see the car crash.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones who watch the ones like Bakhmut pizza delivery, you know, like that, like that's just me and my friends, like us catching the rat, you know, or building mice traps, or that's what, you know, if I died tomorrow, I'd want to be remembered by the company I kept. Yeah, on a little, besides everything we do, as a little side note, I just like to show people that people like that exist.
Mm-hmm. It's powerful, that.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Bro, for anyone listening, if they wanted to help, how do they help you now? Last time it was kind of you were looking for donations to buy some stuff. Are you still doing that? Do they head over to YouTube?
I do that. I'm still good. I'm still good for 30 grand a month. I'm still an earner.
Is that what you're trying to? Is that what you earn?
I don't have a goal. I just raise whatever I can, and I buy whatever they need. And I think if anybody wanted to help in the war effort and really cared at all, what are you interested in? If you come from a medical background, you should probably help in that background. Mm-hmm. You know, the man who taught my course in Southampton recently, he volunteered in Ukraine for over a year. Medical background. He's raised 3 times the amount of money and equipment than me. That's his world.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Never even heard of him before, you know. You should do that. If you come from an IT background, you should Google about drones and how we make drones, how we build drones. If that's your strength, if that's what you're interested in, that's what's going to inspire you. There's networks all over Europe. We have people everywhere. You just have to find them. And they drive the trucks into Ukraine every week.
What's your YouTube handle for anyone listening?
Well, just type in Brandon Mitchell. I'm the top hit now.
Oh, really?
Ukraine TBIC before I knew about algorithm, the best I can. But yeah.
I was actually looking for you the other day to message you. And I was typing in your name on Instagram, wouldn't come up. Then I remembered it was Ukraine.
TBIC. Well, I own YouTube. Instagram, I'm there. TikTok, no hope. That ain't my thing. Yeah.
It's a bit easier to grow TikTok than YouTube, though.
Yeah, I know. I made a skincare review video under shelling once. That went viral. That was in Business Insider, by the way.
Was it?
Yeah. I was just sitting there. The shells were there. Why not do a skincare review?
Bro, when you go tomorrow to meet Sadiq Khan and then maybe David Cameron the next day, is there a preset lyrics that you've kind of been told by to say or not say?
But I've done my homework.
Or are you allowed to say what you want? Even if it doesn't fit in with the agenda?
I'll get the briefing on the agenda, and what happens. And I've done my homework. Sadiq Khan, like him or hate him, he backed Islington Boxing Club and the Amateur Boxing Club, and there's massive funding in London now. So that's something I can talk to him about. David Cameron, well, his son Ivan died when he was 5 years old. I know that sounds really cruel, but how many children died in Ukraine? I've done my homework on these people, and that sounds really cruel, but you have to.
No.
If I get my time, if Sadiq Khan, they're kicking out all the diesel vehicles in the London Council. If we can get that, if I can help direct some of those to Ukraine and give them a nudge and talk about boxing, I'm going to do anything I can. Those opportunities might be there, but I did my homework on what we can get out of these people. David Cameron, he's got guns and ammo. He's the Foreign Office with the defense. Sadiq Khan, he's got some diesel trucks that we need that
got you.
They don't want. But yeah, what else? I've done my homework. And whatever opportunity is there.
Because you've been given this opportunity by who? Remind me.
Foreign Office and Commonwealth Development, whatever it's called nowadays.
This is what I was more curious about, that whether they want you to talk only about a certain thing and not go off on a tangent because it's trying to fit into it. You know, like when you get, I used to get it during COVID. If the local newspaper or radio station rung me for a comment, they'd try and ring you first and go, right, the story's based about this, Ty, so we'd really appreciate if you stayed on there and didn't veer off onto here.
Yeah, you know, they just like our podcast going everywhere. You
can't
do that.
Whereas this, we can just do what we want.
We can do whatever the hell we want.
I was wondering whether they'd message you and said, right, Brandon, don't say anything about X or Y because we're trying to do this. This is the story.
Well, I haven't got their end yet.
But they may.
We're going to have a briefing later on tonight. But as far as the foreign ministry in Ukraine goes, the same briefing and thing I went through before was before I came abroad last time.
Yeah,
everything stands, and the main. I'm not going to tell you everything. There was 3 things not to talk about on the Ukrainian side, but the one thing I will tell you about, and it's interesting, is to never talk about POWs, about Ukrainians that have been captured, because Russia watches everything. And what if I just said something harmless about so and so, whatever? What if they had already been through the rounds of torture and starvation, and they're thrown in the general population of misery? And what if they heard something about that person, just the off chance? And then what if they brought them back in? Well, you told us this, but we heard this. How many fingernails does he have left? That happens,
I know.
This cruel, sick world. So other than that, I can say whatever the hell I want. I might not get invited back on the show, but yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
But just standard, just be yourself. Don't expose yourself.
Brandon, what message would you like to end on? Anything you want to end on?
No, I'm just grateful that you had me here again.
It's always great to chat to you, mate.
I really liked our time together last time, and that's just why I thought we'd come in here and it'd be whatever it be.
Yeah. Yeah, last time was good. Last time. Anyway, again, anyone listening to this, get on the last time, because you get a good bit of background on Brandon, and his time here in Bournemouth is quite interesting.
I love this town.
There's good stories.
I love this town.
Yeah.
I don't owe anyone money here.
Even your background was pretty mad, wasn't it? Where you were born, where you grew up, how you ended up here, there, everywhere.
I'll end up back here again someday when it's all over, said and done, when we're older. And
well, hopefully, mate.
No diet is going to save us from, we'll be old grandpas here. We'll be happy old men in Bournemouth.
Hopefully, mate.
Yeah, someday.
Brother, thanks for coming on. Look after yourself. I know.
Thanks for having me again.
Be careful out
Appreciate
there.
it.
Keep fighting a good fight. Appreciate it.
I'll try my best. I'll try my best, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you.